My name's Emilio. This is Musa. What up, Moose?
What up?
So, we got a great show ahead of us, but before we get started, Musa, how was that new intro?
Man, that sounded awesome. It was great.
That was pretty cool. The other big news is we got our first sponsor.
Wow, producer Chris did get us a sponsor.
Yeah, he got us a sponsor. So, this episode of Your Detroit Now is brought to you by Coach AI. Struggling to stay consistent with your workouts? Coach AI is your personal trainer in your pocket, guiding you with customized workouts and motivation every step of the way. Try Coach AI today and make fitness simple. Download Coach AI on your phone, and you can find it in the App Store or in the description. Musa, you've been working out with Coach AI?
Yeah, I've been hitting the gym. I'm getting really big guns. Coach AI is really incredible.
Coach AI is a big friend of the program. Musa, let's start with the big issue. Lions beat the Ravens Monday Night Football.
Time, time. That was unbelievable. This was an incredible game. We needed this win.
100% we needed this win. Let's go back into history before we look at the stats of this game. The Lions have played the Ravens prior to Monday. The Lions have played the Ravens 7 times. The head-to-head record was 6 wins for the Ravens, 1 win for the Lion, with the most recent being 2 years ago, Ravens versus the Lions. Musa, what was the score of that game?
I believe it was 38-6 Ravens. We did not do good in that game.
Not at all. But now the total record is 6-2 with that big win on Monday. Lions won 38 to Ravens 30. Musa, your first thoughts of the game before we get into the numbers.
This was a great one. Like I said, we really needed this win. Let's follow back. Let's go a little back in time in our episode one. Me and Emilio both predicted that the Ravens would win this game.
Yeah, we did. I thought, this is a tough team. One of the things every defensive line struggle with is how do you contain a mobile quarterback? And then how do you obviously contain the most mobile quarterback, who is Lamar Jackson? Let's also mention that they have one of the greatest running backs of all time in Derrick Henry. So how do you stop a mobile quarterback with one of the greatest running back combinations? Well, I'll tell you what you do. You hold them to 85 total rushing yards.
And great coaching and great
Excellent
coordinating.
coaching. Excellent coaching. Let's get into the numbers. Like I just said, Ravens 85 total rushing yards, Lions 224. We killed them.
We killed them in almost every stat you can think of.
Lions had 7 sacks compared to their zero.
I was so proud of this D line. This is probably the most Lamar Jackson has been sacked in an entire game.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome to see. We had Aqua D Muhammad with 4 tackles and 2 sacks.
Two and a half.
Oh, 2.5 sacks, excuse me. But yeah, let's talk about some of the long distance plays found on the offensive side of the ball. Lions had 2 drives over 95 yards. We had a 96-yard drive and a 98-yard drive. With that, the Ravens have become the first team since 2010 to allow multiple 95 plus yard drives on Monday Night Football.
That is incredible to have two drives over 90 yards. That's just insane. That's how you know this is a Super Bowl contender team.
And I think we're going to get into that later in the show with our two text in questions. But let's talk a little bit more about Jared Goff. 20 for 28, 202 passing yards with 1 throwing touchdown. This is awesome.
It's awesome. Uh yeah, that is great. When we get to the rushing yards, Demo he went off at that game. 12 carries, 151 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Had the longest rushing yard in the NFL so far with a 72 yarder. The only thing I was so mad if Jameer saw that gap, he would have been gone. If Jameer
Yeah.
ran that play instead of Demo, he would have been gone. 100%.
Okay, we can't complain. Yards are yards.
Yards are yards. It's just this is not a that's not a Knuckles thing. That's a Sonic thing. When you have open room and no defenders out there, that's what Sonic has to do. That's not a Knuckles thing. Knuckles is where you pound it out the goal line, 4th and 1, 4th and 2. That's where you pound it in. Not when there's an open field.
You're 100% right. Let's talk about Lamar Jackson. Lamar played great as well. Although he got sacked 7 times, he went 21 for 27, 288 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Mark Andrews had 6 receptions, 91 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, the Ravens played great. I think all it was that defensive line carried the Lions to this victory. Goff played great. The offense was moving well. This is the caliber of football that the Lions are expected to play.
Yeah, this is I 100% agree with you. Let's follow back of what you said with zero interceptions because I saw a stat that on Monday night Lamar has zero interceptions in his entire career when he plays on Monday night.
Yeah, to be clutch in the prime time is definitely an elite skill to have, and you'll see that out of these, top 10, top five quarterbacks, and Lamar is obviously following in that category.
He is a great mobile quarterback.
So Musa, like I just said, the defensive line played great. With that being said, I'm going to call my player of the week early this episode. Aquadin Muhammad is my player of the week. 4 tackles, 2.5 sacks. He played outstanding. Dan Campbell gave him a game ball in the locker room. He talked about how he came from his couch to the NFL, to the Lions giving him a shot. So yeah, Aquadin Muhammad gets my player of the week.
I'm also gonna have to agree with you. I'll take Akadem Muhammad as my player of the week as well. He was a backup in that game because Marcus Davenport got hurt, and they were like and they put in Akadem Muhammad in, and he just balled out against one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in the NFL.
You're 100% right. There's another statistic that shows a quarterback that gets sacked during the drive. That drive has an 8% chance of resulting in a touchdown. So if we can get sacks early and frequent in a drive, that is massive for the Lions. That is massive for the defense. That is massive for the final result of the game.
That I agree with you that that would be massive. Yeah.
So Aquadin Muhammad greatly helped us out. The entire D line stepped up big time. Now the whole offseason conversation was, are we going to get somebody on the opposite side of Hutch to rush the passer? Now I
We
think the
got
question
one.
needs to be, do we get somebody on the opposite side of Aquadin Muhammad to rush the passer?
Yeah, I agree with you. We got we do I my opinion, I feel like we have the best D line in the NFL with Aiden Hutchinson, DJ Reader, Ali McNeil. Would he if he when he comes back, he's gonna do great. Tyleik Williams has balled out good, and I feel like Alqadim Muhammad's gonna start from now on.
Oh, I hope so. I mean, he played outstanding. I don't know what more you can ask for him. Let's talk a little bit more about the defense. We saw a lot of drop balls on the defensive side, and we know the old expression, if he had better hands, he'd be playing on offense. But let's talk about, I mean, those opportunities only come so often. We got to capitalize on those, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
So luckily it didn't come to hurt us in this game, but next time we have to be sharper, especially when we play a team like the Eagles or the Chiefs, who the smallest mistakes is the turn of the game.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So Musa, next week we play the Browns. The Browns just beat the Packers. The Packers killed us week one. What's your thought process when we go into next week?
I don't want the game to end up how the Packers did. I want us to get Miles to hold Miles Garrett a bit longer so that Jared Goff doesn't have to worry about him. I don't think he would worry. Um because Browns have a really great defense, if not one of the best defenses in the NFL or the best. You saw how they did against the Packers. Packers Jordan Love didn't know anywhere to throw. Um Browns are a pretty good team, but it's if it's at Ford Field, if Dan Campbell is calling the shots, I'm taking the lines on that one still. Uh,
100%.
same with my predictions in our first episode.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to have to also add something that the Browns have one of the most chaotic and entertaining QB rooms. If you either them or the Giants. So it's very interesting to see what's going on in there. But one last thing I want to touch on before we go on to college football. How about that Jake Bates open field tackle? I mean,
That's
he gets
that's
past
ridiculous.
every single person. Jake Bates standing there, squares the shoulders, aims for the thighs. What more can you ask for?
I know he saved us on that play right there. He is a really good player. And that at the when it's almost a half, he kicked the 67-yard field goal. It had the power, he just couldn't get the accuracy right.
Yeah, he definitely had the leg for it. And I don't know that I disagree with the call there. What I do disagree on a little bit was the call prior, only getting a quick 4 yards, quick pass. I don't think that was the play to set up for this kick, but what are we going to do? We ended up winning the game. So these little things, we got to be sharper, but we can't complain too much.
You can't complain. We got the win. That's all great. But there were two things I disagreed on that game. Besides those two things, it was an amazing game. The first one was that Tyrion Arnold pass interference call. I thought that was uncatchable. There's no way he's gonna catch that, and the refs called it.
Yeah, that one was kind of a gift to the Ravens.
It was a soft call. I understand why he threw it as a Lions fan. I don't love it, but it's in the rule book. And the second part is remember that check down to Demo where it was incomplete pass, but the refs called it as a fumble and it ended up we end up losing about 9 yards. I thought that was an incomplete pass. I mean, he threw it forward, but the refs um thought it was a fumble and we lost about 9 or 12 yards on that play.
Yeah, those are always tough to judge as a referee, but luckily, like I said, it didn't come to bite us in the end. Musa, producer is screaming in my ear to move on to college football. Real quick, Chris, just 1 second. Musa, give us the stats for the rest of the game.
Let's see. The receiving yards leaders, Amon-Ra St. Brown was ours, 7 receptions for 77 yards and a touchdown. Theirs was Mark Andrews, 6 receptions for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns. They had no sacks. Our sack leader was Al-Qadim Muhammad with 2.5. Amazing player. Um, this is besides the Al-Qadim Muhammad one and the David Montgomery stats, this is probably the third best because Jack Campbell had 8 tackles and all of them were solo. And theirs was Kyle Hamilton with 9 tackles and he had 5 solo. We're done with the the leader sacks. Now we're gonna get into the team stats. The Ravens had 318 total yards. We had 426. Um, they had one turnover the entire game. We had none. We had 24 first downs. They had 21. Um, we had 24 first downs. We had 8 penalties for 68 yards. They had 3 penalties for 10. That's not a good thing you want to see, to have a lot of penalties. This is I feel like this is the team that I would make sense to have a lot of penalties because this is a very aggressive team and sometimes you forget the calls if you're holding, if pass interference, because this is a really aggressive team.
I think that's a great point to add.
For third downs, we came in 50% because we had 14 third down conversions. We only completed 7 of them. They had 11 third down conversions. They only completed 6. At least we came 3 for 3 on fourth downs. They came 0 for 1. Uh, they came 2 for 4 in red zones. We came 4 for 5. And possession time, we had 33 minutes and 18 seconds. They had 26 minutes and 42 seconds. We pretty much beat them in all the stats. And Baltimore is a really great team. This is a Super Bowl contender team. And I'm just so proud of the Lions how they played.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on everything you said.
Now producer Chris, this you're welcome. Now we're gonna get into college football right now. We're gonna be talking about the Michigan Wolverines when they played Nebraska on um on Saturday.
Yeah, let's start off. Did you have a little Haagen-Dazs coffee ice cream to celebrate the win?
Yeah, I did. It was strawberry flavored, but this is that was just I was just so happy we got the win um against Pat Mahomes 2.0, you can say.
Right.
But
Let me talk about some of the individual game leaders here. Passing yards were 105 to 308. U of M got crushed. Seriously, they got crushed. But it doesn't matter. Final score is all that matters. It was a run-heavy game. Rushing yards went to U of M by a mile, 149 to 65. Receiving yards, 39 to 120, like we just talked about with passing yards. Nebraska killed them. Sacks, 1.5 to 1. Low sack game. And then tackles were 9 to 10. So, like I said, pretty balanced game. Let's go into the team stats. Total yards for the U of M Wolverines was 391 to 351. Turnovers, 1 to 1. First down, 16 to 23. Penalties, 4 penalties for 39 yards versus 3 penalties for 9 yards. That is a big deal. Got to clean that up for the next weeks, especially with the tougher opponents coming up. Third downs, 4 for 12, only about 33%, versus 2 for 12, which is terrible. That is probably the number one reason Nebraska ended up losing this game. Fourth downs, Nebraska went 2 for 3. U of M never had the chance to. And the time of possession, 26:43 to 33:17.
yeah, I don't think the stats matter that much. I mean, because a win is a win. You can say there's Nebraska had a great game, but there was I'm gonna say the same thing. Some calls I disagree on, or some things I didn't like. What you see, remember that play where it's a screen pass to the tight end 44? They were on offense, we were on defense, and Cole Sullivan laid the heck out of him. It was gonna be fourth down, and the rest called a flag for I believe it was unsportsmanlike conduct, but to for Brandon Hillman. But he didn't even taunt the team. He was taunting the fans, and the ref still called a flag. I mean, like, what's the point of celebrating if you're not allowed to do it? Like, I don't think celebrating is that bad in college football.
Yeah, but to a certain extent, you have to have some game awareness. You have to know the time. You have to know the place. I mean, the middle of the game, right after a big play, is probably not the time to do something like that. But that being said, I do agree with you. I think these guys got to be able to dance a little bit. They got to be able to celebrate. They got to get excited. I mean, this is a game after all. So I do agree with you, but you got to have the mental wherewithal to know where you're at and to know what's going on, the situation, and the consequences that come along with that stuff. But I do agree with you. Got to be able to celebrate a little bit.
And my second thing is, if you're a U of M fan, you should be pissed about this, was that stupid Hail Mary pass touchdown.
You didn't like that?
No, what are you talking about? I don't think any U of M fan would like that. He
So
literally ran to the left. He had like 6 seconds on the ground. It was in the air for like four seconds. Number two came out of nowhere, caught it, and scored a touchdown. That's what tied the game up at halftime.
yeah, it was a kind of a crazy play, kind of a highlight reel play, but can't happen on these sharper opponents, like we keep saying. This
Yeah.
weekend, U of M gets the bye, but the following they play Wisconsin. Musa, what do you want to see out of the Wolverines against Wisconsin? 12 o'clock, October 4th.
I would like to I would like to see Rod Moore to get it to start in that game. Because he was fine, he was in pads, and he only played in like the end of he only played on like the last 5 minutes of the game in the fourth quarter. I would like to see him get in. He has 2 weeks to get healthy again, but I want to see him play. It's his a final year as a Wolverine. I want to see him play, and I would like to see Bryce Underwood to throw a deep pass for once. I mean, like his only long pass is 44 yards, which is not bad, but also not good. I would like to see him take a deep shot. And I want our wide receivers to catch because our receivers dropped 2 touchdowns. One of them was a trick play, and one of them he beat the corner and he dropped it. The trick play one was Bryce Underwood threw it backwards to Samaj Morgan. Samaj Morgan came in motion. It was a trick play. He had Donovan McCulley wide open. It was a great pass, but it was also kind of low. I could also agree, and he missed the catch. And the play right after that, Channing Goodwin was the wideout. He was running a go. Bryce Underwood threw a complete dot to him and he dropped it. So I would like to see Ron Moore only three things: Ron Moore to get in, Bryce Underwood to take a deep shot, and our wide receivers working on their catching. We have the bye, so I think we can get all that done.
I think you're absolutely right. Let's move on to MSU. Before we get into the game, why was this game so late? 11 o'clock our time. That is too late for us to play. Game didn't end till 2 in the morning.
Well, because in Western time it's 8 o'clock, so it probably ended there at 11, which was our time when it started. But I agree with you. I wanted to see this game. I wanted to see MSU get blown out.
That's no good. Nobody wants to see MSU get blown. Everybody wants to see MSU beat a top 25 school.
All right, enough of that. Let's get into the stats. Um, Aiden Childs, 12 for 21, 212 yards and three touchdowns. Um, had a pretty good game. Miles Frazier, 14 carries for 61 yards. Uh, he had a mediocre game. Jaden Mayava had a good game. He had 20 for 26 for 234 yards and three touchdowns. He had a good game. Wayman Jordan also had a good game. Yeah, he also had a good game. 18 carries for 157 yards and a touchdown. Uh, Kelly had six receptions for 133 yards and a touchdown. He he's the person who gave you the league with that 50-yard touchdown, I think.
You're right.
Makai Lemon had a good game. Eight receptions for 127 yards and a touchdown. You guys had no sacks. Shelby was their sack leader, 101 sack, one and a half sacks. Martinez was your tackles leader for 7 for 5 solo. Gentry was their tackles leader for 6 tackles and all of them were solo.
Let me get into the team stats here. Spartans had 337 total yards against USC's 523. Got blown out. Got blown out by a mile. The defense can't let a team get 500 plus yards. Turnovers 0 to 1. Won the turnover battle. Didn't end up mattering. First downs 20 for us, 27 for USC. Penalties 6 for 53 versus 11 for 82. They were handing us penalties, Musa. We just couldn't capitalize on them. Third
Mm-hmm.
downs, 5 for 11 versus 8 for 12 that USC had. Fourth downs, 0 for 1. Didn't get it versus their 1 for 2. Finally, time of possession, 28-54 versus 31-06. Musa, we lost on almost every single metric except the turnovers, which didn't even end up mattering.
Yeah, you guys did. I don't know who we is. I'm a Michigan fan.
Let me get into some advanced stats here. USC averaged 7.2 yards per carry. The defense could not stop these guys. These guys could run it all they want. They almost had a first down every time they touched the ball. I mean, the defense is the story of the game here. Aiden Childs played great. The offense played okay. Really, if we didn't have Aiden Childs, this game would have gotten a lot worse. The defense is the story of the game. The defense is the story of the season. We got to stop this. We had 0 sacks. We had 6 pressures, but only 1 hit. I mean, I don't know what we can do with that.
Then that's just what happens when you verse a top 25 opponent. And this is and USC is a good school. Michigan State is, I'll say something nice. You guys are a pretty good school, but during football, and you guys just blown out.
Yeah, and it was clear it happened there. MSU is averaging .487 points per play. That right there is gives them the 33rd rank in the nation. If we want to beat a top 25 team, we need to be more efficient with the football. We're not scoring enough, and when we don't have the ball, we're not doing enough to get the ball back on offense. So this kind of shows me where we rank compared to a top 25 team.
Yeah, 100% agree. You guys just gotta work hard, get uh work hard and just move on to next week.
So let's talk about next coming weeks. We got to bye this weekend, just like U of M. Then we go back and play Nebraska, just how you guys played Nebraska. Going to be watching a lot of that film. I'm not liking how this game looks, especially how they looked versus you guys. This will be kind of an interesting cross comparison that we have here, but I am not optimistic about this Nebraska game.
Yeah, like you said, I'm also not optimistic. Like in our episode 2, we predicted MSU and Michigan's schedule the entire 2025 season, and me and Emilio both had MSU losing this game against Nebraska.
Yeah.
So and I still am gonna lock in that vote.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to this. I'm not optimistic about this game. If anything, I don't want to watch this game. I'm going to watch the game, but this is not something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, you just gotta be like the Michigan Wolverines.
All right. I think I've heard enough of that. Let's go to baseball, which might be an even worse topic right now. Oh my goodness. The epic collapse of the Tigers. This needs to be studied.
I know Tigers are falling off so hard. The Guardians are catching up to the division. I don't even think we'll lock in the 3 seed in the playoff.
Musa, it's getting so bad that the 2 seed is most definitely gone. The wild card spot that the Yankees have just locked up is taken. We are looking for a 5 or the 6 spot into the playoffs. How does the team that has the number 1 record in the MLB at one point not make the playoffs with the division? This is embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. I don't know what we did last year that almost took us to the American Championship. We just gotta do what we did last year, which is I think it's too late for that. We're falling off so hard. Tigers are not doing good. Um, and like you said, I think we'll also be protected like number 5, number 6, or number 7 seed in the playoffs. But what is going on right now?
So I don't think we've really talked about how bad this was. Musa, we had 15 games ahead of the next closest in the division. We had the division as close to locked up as you can get without actually being officially clinched. No team has had a 15 game lead and lost it. After last night's game, we have officially lost the number 1 seed in the division. We went into yesterday's game knowing it would be our most important game of the season. What did we do? We struck out 19 times. You cannot do that. So then we go in tonight with a chance of still making the number 1 seed. So now, after the loss yesterday, tonight was our number 1 most important game of the season. What happens? We lost. We struck out 9 times today. Musa, we just were collapsing on a level that has never been documented before. No team has been up 15 games and lost their lead as like we have. Musa, there's a realistic chance we don't make the playoffs. I mean, we are so bad right now. And let's talk about lifetime records against the Guardians. The two teams have played each other 2,325 times after today. The Tigers have won 1,163. The Guardians have won 1,161. These two teams have played each other more than 2,000 times. They are 2 games apart. After today's win, they are 1 game apart.
Is this our last game against the Guardians?
So tomorrow we play the Guardians for the final time this regular season. Obviously, there's a chance we could play them if we even make the playoffs. We play Boston away. Boston is the most roller coaster team, so you never know what can happen. But I'm starting to feel like we might have to sweep Boston to get a spot in the playoffs. Now, Cleveland is the hottest team in baseball right now, and that's no excuse to perform how we're performing. Let's talk about the game stats before we talk about some other stats that I've been working on this week. We left 7 runners on base. We only had 6 total bases, 0 home runs, and 6 hits. We went into this game expecting to have to score at least 4, 5, maybe 6 runs. Tigers scored 1 run
Oh,
tonight on our most important game of the season. Yesterday, we knew that would be the most important game of the season. Tigers scored 2 runs and struck out 19 times. I don't know what to say other than we keep striking out. Let's talk about some of these numbers I'd like to show. One of the things that's highly important in baseball is your strikeout to walk ratio. And I was given some information that our strikeout to walk ratio is concerningly high. So I've taken a look at this and I have decided that every person on the Tigers active roster with at least 100 at bats, so that's right here. Justin Henry Malloy, I'm cutting off for this statistic. I've decided 100 at bats this season is what it takes to be considered in this statistic. And I take the SO right there is strikeouts. So I take your strikeouts and I divide it by your walks. And essentially, an elite player will have a 1-to-1 ratio. A good player should have 1 to 1.5. When you get into a 1.5 to 2.5 to 3 is average, below average. Anything plus 3 is bad. And then obviously, the further you go, it gets more and more concerning. So I'm going through and I take strikeouts and I put them in the numerator and then I divide them by walks. So Dylan Dingler has this season 420 at-bats, 453 plate appearances. Dylan Dingler has 107 strikeouts. This is live. This is up to tonight's game. And Dylan Dingler has 22 walks. So every time Dylan Dingler strikes out, he is walking 0.25. Or in other words, to use this number right here, every time Dylan Dingler gets a walk, Dylan Dingler strikes out 4.8 times. Same thing here for Spencer Torkelson. Every time he gets a walk, he strikes out 2.3 times. And we can go through and we actually see Gleyber Torres is in great position right now. 1.1, that's elite. That's very good metrics. So he's actually doing his job. And this kind of goes back to the Billy Beane approach of just get on base. So Gleyber Torres is doing great. Trey Sweeney's not doing great. And over here we have Javi Baez. Every time he gets on base by a walk, he strikes out 10 times. And I know people are probably saying, what does this metric mean? What does this metric matter? All that matters is runs. Well, let's talk about the teams that are in the top 6 of this metric. Team averages. So you see the Blue Jays average 2.1, Brewers 2.2, Padres 2.2, and so on. What do all these teams have in common? They're all clinched for the playoffs at this point of the season. So the top 6 teams in this metric have all clinched to the playoffs. Now let's talk about the bottom 6 teams. I was only going to do the bottom 5 teams, but coincidentally, the Tigers were the 6th. So what do we have about the Rockies, the Angels, the Orioles, the Nationals, and the Rays? These teams rank the highest in strikeout to walk ratio. They're all eliminated from the playoffs. And what do we have with the Tigers? A slipping playoff chance. This is a team that at one point had a 99.9% chance of making the playoffs. After tonight's loss to the Guardians, they're at 67.7. This is disastrous. Let's talk about some other stats. This is a page that I pulled directly from StatMuse. This is all the games, at-bats, runs, etc. Now, what do I have here? I have the unit rate. So I take the amount of games played and I use that as my denominator. And essentially, this tells me everything that this page up here tells me, but it tells me how often we're doing stuff by game. So how many runs we're scoring by game, hits, how many at bats we have per game, and this is all by month broken down. So let's look. I'm noticing a steep decline since May in runs. I'm noticing a decline since June in hits. I'm noticing a decline since May and June in RBIs. Musa, I'm seeing a high increase in strikeouts this month of September. So, like I said, June, July, we're seeing these drops. And what happened in June, July? We had the All-Star game on the 15th. So I put together a chart down here. And as you can see, this red line up here, strikeouts, they peak and they stay high, like they stay above where they were prior to the All-Star game. Hits are down since the All-Star game. Runs, this blue line down since the All-Star game. So what's really concerning to me is strikeouts and runs being as low as they are. We are not playing playoff baseball like the Guardians are, like the Yankees are, like the Brewers are, like all these teams that have clinched the playoffs. We're not playing the same caliber of baseball as these guys. So this is just something I found was interesting. I was talking to Musa about these prior to the show, and yeah, the strikeout to walk ratio is is very, very concerning to me and Musa.
Yeah, it's pretty concerning, yeah. But all that matters is hopefully we can clinch a playoff spot and I hope I don't think we're making gonna make it all the way, but hopefully we could make it pretty far, but we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers don't lie here, so we might get lucky, sneak into the back door. I think Cleveland's too hot right now to even be touched by us. I think we really don't have a chance here, especially when, our ace Tarek Skubal can't get it done. I don't know what chance we have, if any, at the division. I think our best chance is going to be entering in that 5 or 6 spot, but that depends on a lot more than just us. We're going to need some help with that.
100% agree.
Musa, before we go, let's hit the phones. We had 2 texts that came in this week asking for our input on these questions. The first one is from Vince in Clarkston. Vince asks, what is more embarrassing, the Tigers losing a 15-game lead or the Lions divisional loss in 2024 against the Commanders?
Um, I think I think it was the Tigers because you can't blame the Lions. Their entire team was injured. You didn't have Aiden, you didn't have Carlton Davis, you didn't have Brian Branch or Kirby Joseph or Meek Robertson, you didn't have Alex Anzalone, you didn't have Malcolm Rodriguez. We still put up a good fight, even though that was a bad win. I'm gonna still say the Tigers is more embarrassing. You can't blame the Lions on that.
Yeah, I think
We
I 100% agree with you, especially with the fact that you consider we played Philly next. I don't think we were beating Philly. Number one seeds have lost before, but no team has lost a 15-game lead. So I think the Tigers is absolutely more embarrassing, especially looking at the fact that there's still time left in the season and they can't put together a string of at-bats.
I 100% agree.
Let's move into our second text of the day. This one's from Ali in Southfield. Ali asks, what is the Lions season ceiling looking like? Is it NFC Championship? Is it the Super Bowl? So we talked about that game that we just saw at the Lions. This looks like a Super Bowl caliber team.
I don't like predicting that much because one thing could go another. I could say the Lions could go 15-2. They could go 2-15. Opposite. Not gonna happen. Just saying it. But I think this is, like I said, a Super Bowl contender team. I would love to see us get our first Super Bowl championship, Super Bowl ring. But I'm gonna say this I said this so many times, but it's still my answer. We're just gonna have to wait and see.
I think the division is much more likely than it was after the week 1 performance. I do think this could be a Super Bowl level team with the assumption that everybody stays healthy, with the assumption that the play calling remains the same, with the assumption that things stay on the same track and we don't pull at Tigers and just derail. Um, but I think this is a very elite team that we're witnessing right now, and that's so cool to say about the Detroit Lions.
Well, this is the end of today's show, but don't go yet because I know I talked about this last episode, but I didn't think you guys got the memo. This is our giveaway item. Help us get to 500 subscribers. And we're gonna pick a random name. You can win this item. It's the 2023 national champion Michigan Wolverines signed football. You have almost the entire team on it: Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, Roman Wilson, and so much great players. Um, but this is only available for 3 weeks. So contact your friends, contact your family. If they're a Michigan fan, tell them we're gonna give away this. Um, and we're gonna pick a random name, and we're gonna we're gonna ship this to you. So you could win this. And thank you so much for watching. Subscribe. Please come watch our next video. This is your Detroit now.